Hey everybody, it's Mike with Monkey Fab, and we're back today to do the 1 month, it should be about 1 month, follow up on the Vulcan PROTIG 200, how it's working for me. Most of you probably know I make like collectors and up pipes, like this guy. It's a T6 mild steel up pipe. It's a 3-inch, you can make it a slip fit or butt weld, and this is kind of a rarity. I don't usually make this, but this is a T6 with 2-inch runners. But the T6s we can make from 2 to 2.5, slip fit or butt weld, or however you like them. And I make these all the time. Business has been pretty decent the last month. It's like my busy month. It being, after the Black Friday and into Christmas, people tend to treat themselves, and I appreciate that business. So I've been real busy. You can see my Invertig 221 HTP has just been sitting here since we've gotten the Vulcan. So we got the Vulcan in about a month ago. I told you guys I was going to hook it up and just use this machine for everything that's come through the shop. And indeed, that's what I've done. So today I'm just following up with a list of likes and dislikes or concerns. And let's just get right to it. So the machine, the price is great, and it is a very good machine for, the $1,000 plus the 3-year warranty. The warranty on these things I've been, now that I've gotten into this, before I didn't know, didn't have anybody to really talk to about it for the most part. There was a Facebook group that I followed, but it was kind of sparsely populated. But since I've gotten it, people have written me, and it's anecdotal. I'm not really sure how much to take it at word or not. But I had a guy tell me that he smoked the torch on this guy, and which is normal. I mean, let's say if you're welding AC, you're gonna get a lot of heat in that. The inside of that torch is just copper, and you can actually cook the rubber off of it. You can burn the rubber where it just kind of falls off. And he said he took it back, and they literally swapped out the whole machine because of the torch, which, it's a little bit funny, but it's also a little bit unethical. Torches break. I paid $8 for the one I have. So do the right thing, and maybe you can keep this around. It's kind of a good thing. I feel like it's a good thing. So it runs, and the goods are it does for me everything that a TIG torch is a TIG machine is supposed to do. And I kind of find that as a truth across the board. If you're like me and you just generally weld with straight current, you're not doing pulsing or anything, kind of a machine that works is a machine that works. And the pulse and stuff, I like the Invertig's got a million settings that you can do, and I did that, for probably about a year or so. Played with all of them. I locked in some ones that I liked, and there is a time when I'll do if I'm doing super thin titanium, and if I'm doing thin stainless, then sometimes I'll like to use pulse to limit the heat, the cumulative input of heat. But it doesn't really make it that much of a difference at the end of the day. I haven't used AC a lot, so I can't really speak towards that. I just haven't had any AC projects to work on. I'm going to do the center console on the Phoenix, and since I have no woodworking skills, because that would probably be the easiest way to do it, I think I'm just going to make it all out of aluminum, and I have to make a shifter mount and whatnot. So we'll bring you along for that when I do it. Bads, people have complained about the Argon post flow. It's not adjustable, it just sets, and I'm not really sure to be I'm not 100% sure if it's time-based off of the machine has a sensor. It seems that way. It seems like if I make a really long run, then it post flows maybe longer than 10 seconds, maybe 12 or 14 seconds actually. Then if I just kick the torch on, if I'm just checking to see how the arc's going to pop off the tungsten on my copper, and I just light it off and then stop it, it seems to post flow a little bit shorter. So I tend to think that that's the way it's set up, but I don't know for sure. So But it has plenty. I like the post flow, so I do mostly stainless steel and steel. And my customers, they want to have a nice looking product, and that has to do with gas. A lot of that has to do with gas coverage. You know, I mean, if you got to do the right heat input and get that part right. But the outside, kind of the aesthetics of it, is a lot to do with the gas coverage. So I tend to post flow anyway. So even though it's going to post flow 10 seconds, if I know the part's hot and I know that it's going to oxidize, if I let the air hit it, then I'll tap the torch maybe halfway through that 12 seconds, just to give it another 12 seconds on top of whatever point we were at, to 10 or 12 seconds, I don't know, just to kind of keep it shielded, and maybe get some nice silvers, maybe some straw or some blue in there, but definitely keep out the gray. Yeah. So that's not I don't feel like it's a problem. Where it would be a problem is if you were doing aluminum. Aluminum just tends to need enough gas coverage to keep the tungsten from getting kind of fucked up. You could set it for generally I'll set it for 6 seconds on my HTP, and if I was doing a lot of aluminum, that would be a concern. It's not like it's because it's running 12 seconds instead of 6. Does that mean that I'm going to use double the argon? No, you're going to use argon when you're welding regardless. It's just how many stops you're making and how much that little extra 6 seconds or 4 seconds or whatever it is flows out. And you do run the gas a lot lower. I'll usually run 12 CFH on aluminum, where on stainless and steels I'll usually run at 25-30 CFH. So I mean, it mitigates it a little bit. I think if I was just an aluminum shop, that I would try to solve that problem. There's smart people out there, I'm sure, that know what to do and how to do it, even if it's just as much as putting a ball valve on your table that's in between the line, and after a few seconds you just shut it off, and when you get ready to kick it on, turn it back on. It sounds stupid, but I'm a stupid guy, and I'm sure there's people out there that could get into the machine and actually figure out how to put a timer unit in there or something to make that not a problem. The torch and the hose that came with the machine, I wasn't a big fan. So you guys saw my update where I swapped out to the Superflex, and I put the Flex Head number 9 torch on there, and I've been using that ever since, and that's great. So if you didn't check out that video, you should. The whole upgrade was less than $100, and I have a spare, and that included a spare torch. So when I smoke this one, I have a replacement, which is kind of nice. There's a phantom voltage. I could take this when I turn it on the machine and I'm not on the pedal, I can drag the tungsten across my table, and I'll see an occasional little, it's not a big spark, but there is some voltage there. So I don't know, design flaw or whatever. I'm sure it's not supposed to be like that. It doesn't make a difference. It hasn't shocked me. And to be honest, I'm just ignoring it. That's a minor thing to me. And I still have 3 years of warranty, so I really, if I'm going to take it back, it needs to be for a reason, that I can't weld with the machine, and just a little bit of phantom voltage. I think that my mindset with the machine is, since it's so little money, is I'm a little more willing to accept, character flaws in the machine, whereas in, my high dollar machine, that would be an issue. That might get me on the phone, to the company, but not so much with this. So yeah, a month with this guy, I've welded, tons of stuff. I'll probably have it going, probably an hour to 3 hours, 4 hours max a day. But I mean, it's running. When I sit down to weld, I do it all, get it all prepped, and then I just run through it. The heat, and this is true of any, so it doesn't matter if this was this machine or my HTP. If I put this hose and this torch on there and I welded as long as I did, I generally will weld the mild steel 16 gauge to 3/8 up pipe that I showed you. I'm going to weld that at 140 amps, and I'm pretty much matting that the whole way. you know, I'll keep an eye, and if I need to adjust, I adjust it. But for the most part, I'll do it in 4 runs, you know, each side, and I'll just keep the pedal down. And that seems to be where I get good penetration at, and no suck back. But that being said, when you do like 4 or 5 of those, this guy will get hot. And I took my little thermometer out and I measured this, and I'll show you guys that. So I would like, you know, one of my ideas that I've been kicking around is that I would like to water cool this, and I've been kind of looking for like a DINS connector that I can hook up to this guy to run a water cooled torch. You see, a water cooled torch has 3 leads on it instead of just 1, and what that is it's your power cable and water, I believe, and your cool water and your gas. So if I can figure out a way to separate those out, like my HTP gas comes from a separate port, it's not through the DINS connector. So I don't know if they make a DINS connector, I believe they do, that will divert the gas out for the gas line. If that's the case, then I would really like to give that a whirl, see if we can make like a low budget water cooler. So as far as the settings on the machine goes, like maybe you're like, hey, you know, please, you know, show us the secret squirrel voodoo settings for the machine to make where it looks, you know, pretty welds, good welds, etc. That there is no secret settings. If you go to my How to TIG Weld video, I have a whole series. If you go to Monkey Fab, you go to playlist, there'll be like a How to TIG Weld, and basically I have it set out in what makes sense to me, a linear fashion of progression, so you can, you know, how to buy a machine to, you know, doing, I think, like thin wall stainless tube, which is a task. But everything you need to go between there and the 2. So, and I talk about all the settings that I use, and they all apply to this machine too. The pulse is a little different because I can, on my high-end machine, I can kind of separate out each individual part of the pulse, where this is just basically the duration, not duration, just basically the pulses per second. But it's like a 50-50 deal, and it's not bad. And I have used the pulse, and it worked just fine. Yeah. So setting-wise, the settings for this machine would be like any other machine, and I really think that the best way to learn how to TIG weld isn't concerning yourselves with the settings. That happens, like people, I did, like I thought, like maybe I need a better machine, maybe I need something with pulse, maybe if I just had, you know, these parts, you know, whatever the best, you know, people were using, I have to get that stuff. And come to find out, the best people were the best people because they were the best people. They were probably the most practiced, and the people that were willing to expend the resources and the time and the effort to weld as best they could. So if you do my How to TIG Weld stuff, and I'm not trying to sell you on it, I don't care, you know, I put it out there for you guys. There's plenty of other people that talk about it and videos on it, but better welders than me. But I think that I put like the seeds in there for you to learn, like the heat control, and that's what it's all really about, is about controlling your heat. So if you get this machine, you can make great looking welds. You just need to learn the basics, which is the eye-hand coordination and the heat input control for whatever material you're welding. And that just comes with experience and time and practice. So those practice videos are there if you want to go check them out. I'll show you guys some videos of me welding with this guy I took yesterday, and the heat on the torch. One amendment I did want to talk about was the fan. The fan on this guy is like, it's kicking, which is good. I've never, as long as I've welded, I've never had the machine duty cycle on me. Usually what will happen is it'll just shut itself off. If that happens, there's probably a warning light on there. Yeah, there's like a temp. Yeah, there's a temp light, so I imagine that comes on, it shuts itself off, and then you just have to wait for everything to cool back down. I've never had that happen, but what I had to do was this fan was blowing out these louvers so hard that it was blowing the argon off my workpiece, and that was becoming a problem. So what I did is I just took some cardboard and I just pull this out when I weld, and that blocks that air from blowing this way. So that's my only adjustment to how the machine, because I want it by my table, obviously, because you need to make adjustments and whatnot. You don't want to have to go halfway across the shop to adjust something, but that fan is pretty strong. I think this is a good solution because it still lets the air through, but it also keeps it from crashing right into my workpiece, which is bad. it. So I think until next time, this is Mike from Monkey Fab signing out.